Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about selecting a perfect pineapple. So I bought this fellow yesterday and he's pretty close to being ripe. We're actually going to cut him in a few minutes here and I'll tell you a little bit about how I picked him out. So when you go to the store, you'll see pineapples that are usually almost like a grayish green color, and those ones are not ripe yet. This one has begun to turn a little bit yellow, and that's why I picked him. But you can certainly get the green or the greenish gray ones and wait a few days for them to ripen. There's nothing wrong with that. What you don't really want to purchase is an overly yellow one when the crown is starting to get kind of crumpled and wilted. It's been around a little bit too long. You'll also notice it gets really soft and almost some brown spots on it. That pineapple is probably past its prime. Another great tip is to smell your fruit. If you can smell a little bit of sweetness but not too much, that's a good indication. Flipping it over is another great hint. It should have a few like dried leaves down here. Pineapples actually grow on the ground and then they get cut off from the bottom. So this is where it was removed from its plant, and it's really like a nice yellow down at the base, and it's almost even starting to turn slightly brown. And this is letting us know that it's going to be ready to cut very soon. Now, another trick that I have seen, but I have never really found it to be true, but a lot of people do it. I think it's a myth, but you take the crown and then they'll like pick one of the stems or leaves out of it and like, oh, it's a ripe pineapple. Well, I've done that with unripe pineapples and it always pulls out. So I'm not really sure that that's true. So really you're gonna go on color, smell, feel, and then flipping it over and looking down here at the base. Now, if it's become too brown and kind of soft down here, it might be a little bit late for that pineapple. So this guy, we could cut him today, tomorrow, and probably one day after that. And then beyond that, it might be a little bit late. So we're gonna go ahead and switch the camera angle, and I'm gonna show you how to cut up this beautiful pineapple. But first, I'm gonna head to the sink and wash it. Okay, we're back, and the camera is at a different angle. So hopefully you guys can see this really well. So we have our cutting board. I'll show you our materials. I always use a non-stick drawer liner underneath my cutting board, large cutting board, our freshly washed pineapple, a serrated edge knife, and a small paring knife. So there are a couple different ways to do this. I'm gonna show you kind of like a half and half technique since I only have one, okay? So first what we're going to do is remove the crown. You're going to use the serrated edge knife, lay your pineapple down, and go down about an inch down into the flesh. And you're just going to saw it off. Gentle motion down, okay? And this is kind of fun. You can use this as a decoration or something, or you can just compost or recycle it. So we'll set this guy right here. Okay, so if you're going to do the peel method where I peel my whole fruit, you can definitely do that with a pineapple, but you can also do really cute triangles with a pineapple too. So I'm going to show you both ways. So before you do either, you're going to cut off both the crown and the rump or the bottom of this guy, okay? So you're going to go in again about an inch and then just cut straight through. All right. Now what I'm gonna do for this one to show you the two different techniques is I'm gonna cut it straight down the center. If I was gonna go ahead and peel the whole thing, I would do it just like the watermelon video and peel off all of the skin and then cut off sections to then chunk. So I'll do that with half of it. But this, you're gonna go right down the middle of the core. You can kind of push down and saw back and forth. You get it as even as you can. Once you kind of get going, if it goes off to the side, not a big deal. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. And then we have our two halves. They're not quite even, but not a big deal. So with this half, I'm going to make some really nice triangular pieces. These are a little over an inch, about an inch thick. You want a good amount of pineapple to hold on to, so I try not to make them too thin. So depending on the size of your pineapple, you can get, what did I get? 2, 4, 6, I got 7. So you'll probably get between 8 and 10 depending on the size, or 7 and 10. And then depending on how like large you would like them, you can cut these into thirds or halves. So I'm just gonna cut it in half. My kids like pineapple, but I like to give them enough to bite. And then you can just eat them like this. You can store them like this or display them like this on a fruit display. And you'll have all these lovely little pineapple triangles. Okay, so that's one way to do the pineapple. And kind of clear this off of my tray. And then the other way is just like how I do my other fruits, and there are some other videos on my channel. You can see we're gonna kind of peel it. This is what you would do even if it was whole. You're gonna go around the edge and you're really cutting off and peeling the rind. Okay. And what you're really trying to do, you want to take, I would say this is about like a ½ inch at the thickest. And you just really want these little bumps. You can go back through here and kind of just shave them off a little bit. You don't really want to eat those. That's where kind of like the seeds would be. Okay. Now, what you can do, you can use a paring knife if you feel more comfortable with it, or you can use the serrated edge. Sometimes the paring knife is smaller and you have a little bit more control over it. And you're just gonna go through, if it's cut in half like this, and you wanna take out the core. So pineapple core is pretty tough, and it's not really great to eat. So that's something else you'll notice on these guys. They weren't quite even, but there's a tiny piece of the core there. If you want, you could cut that off, but I think it looks not so great. So sometimes for presentation purposes, you're gonna leave that tiny bit of core on the triangles. So for this guy, you can either cut out the core. That's kind of challenging to do, I know. So you can also just take off big chunks of the pineapple and kind of cut around the core that way. And then you're kind of left with the core, and then you can either, you know what I like to do? I kind of like to like a corn on the cob when I'm all done. Eat the pineapple off of the core. You can do that. You can recycle this. You could actually put this through a juicer if you have a juicer and get some really awesome pineapple juice. There's still a lot of uses for the core. You just don't really want to eat it. It's pretty chewy. Okay, and then you can cut your pineapple in whatever shapes you want. Chunks, spears. My kids really they like fruit and like long spears, like their watermelon and everything. Sometimes they're like, can I have like a stick? So my kids will like it like this, so I'll put it in the Tupperware like that. There's lots of different ways to do it. I think it lasts longer on the rind than it does once it's peeled. So if you're trying to do this for the week and want to have it for, 4 to 5 days later, then I would recommend doing it this way. But if you're going to be eating it more quickly, and say 2 to 3 days, then you can cube it and then store it in your Tupperware in your refrigerator for about 2 to 3 days, and it will be delicious. If you have any other questions, or if there's any more videos you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing to my channel for more tips, tricks, and kitchen ideas. Bye. Outtake, I'm eating it. It's delicious. Super sweet, super juicy. We cut it just when it was right.